Just book the hotel, Rachel says, scrolling through her phone while we sit at the kitchen table surrounded by wedding planning folders. My parents will pay you later. She says it casually, like it's obvious, like it's no big deal. I look up from the venue comparison spreadsheet. When later? What? When will they pay me later? Before the wedding? After? When we get the final head count? She waves her hand dismissively. I don't know. Whenever. Does it matter? They're good for it. Just book it so we can check it off the list. How much are we talking? I don't know. 15 rooms? 20? For the weekend. Just get a block rate or whatever hotels do. I do quick mental math. 20 rooms, 2 nights, decent hotel near our venue. We're looking at minimum $8,000 to $10,000, possibly more. That's a lot to front. Which is why my parents are paying you back. Marcus, come on. We've been over this. They're handling the accommodations. You're just the one with the credit card points or whatever. I don't have points. I have a credit card that this would max out. So, you'll get paid back before the statement is due. What's the problem? The problem is the pattern. The problem is that my parents will pay you later has become the default answer to every wedding expense that isn't explicitly mine. The problem is that later never seems to come with a date or a written agreement or any accountability. But I don't say any of that. Not yet. Okay, I say. I'll book it. Thank you. She leans over and kisses my cheek, already moving on to the next item on her list. Can you also call the florist about the centerpieces? Mom wants to make sure they're not too tall. Sure. She leaves the table, phone pressed to her ear, already on a call with her sister about bridesmaid dresses. I sit there looking at the hotel options on my laptop, thinking about the conversation we just had, thinking about the 17 similar conversations we've had over the past 6 months of wedding planning. Her parents will pay me later. I pull up the hotel booking page, start selecting options, think about what later actually means, and make a decision. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. Let me tell you about the pattern that led us here. Rachel and I met 3 years ago at a hospital fundraiser. She's smart, funny, ambitious, a pediatric nurse who genuinely loves her job and makes a real difference in kids' lives. I fell for her hard and fast. She was different from anyone I'd dated, grounded, compassionate, real. I proposed after 2 years during a weekend trip to the mountains. Small moment, just us, the ring I'd saved for months to buy. She said yes. We started planning a wedding for the following October. Her parents, Donald and Patricia, seemed great initially. Welcoming, enthusiastic about me joining the family. Donald worked in commercial real estate, successful, comfortable, the kind of guy who wore expensive watches and drove a luxury sedan. Patricia was a retired school administrator who now spent her time on charity boards and country club committees. They had money, that was clear, and they seemed generous. We'll pay for the rehearsal dinner, Patricia announced at our first wedding planning meeting over brunch at their house. We've been saving for Rachel's wedding since she was born. We want you two to have a beautiful celebration without the financial stress. It was a kind offer, generous. I thanked them sincerely. Just find a restaurant you like and book it, Donald added. Send us the details and we'll handle everything. I found a restaurant. Italian place, private room, nice but not extravagant. 50 people for the rehearsal dinner. I called for pricing, got a quote, $2,500 for the meal, bar, and service. They required a $500 deposit to hold the date. I mentioned this to Rachel. That's perfect. Book it. My parents said they'd cover it. Should I check with them first about the cost? Marcus, they said they'd pay for the rehearsal dinner. Just book it. They're not going to quibble over price. They want us to have what we want. So I booked it. Put down the $500 deposit on my credit card. A week later, I mentioned it to Patricia at a Sunday dinner at their house. Oh, you paid the deposit? Well, that's fine. We'll reimburse you. Donald, didn't you say you'd write Marcus a check? Donald looked up from his phone. What? Oh, yes, the deposit. I'll get to that. When? I asked, trying to sound casual. Soon. This week sometime. Week came and went. No check, no mention of it. Second week, I brought it up again. Oh, right, the deposit, Patricia said. We keep meaning to do that. It's on our list. No rush, I said, though I did need the money back. $500 isn't nothing. Just whenever you get a chance. Third week, Rachel mentioned it to them when I didn't want to seem pushy. She came back to me. They said they'll take care of it this weekend. Weekend passed. No check. Fourth week, I brought it up directly to Donald when we were alone for a moment. The rehearsal dinner deposit. Should I expect that reimbursement soon? My credit card statement is coming up. He looked annoyed. Marcus, we said we'd pay you back. You'll get your money. Don't be pushy about it. Pushy. For asking about money I'd fronted on their explicit promise to pay. I let it go for another 2 weeks. Then Rachel brought it up again after I mentioned I really did need the reimbursement. Finally, 6 weeks after I'd paid the deposit, a check arrived in the mail. I opened it expecting $500. It was for $400. I stared at it, confused. Called Rachel. Your parents sent a check for $400? The deposit was $500. Oh, maybe they thought it was $400? I told them it was $500. I showed them the receipt. Well, maybe they forgot. It's only $100. Is it worth fighting over? It's not about the amount. It's about them promising to reimburse me fully and then not doing it. Marcus, they gave you $400. That's a lot of money. Just let the $100 go. Don't make this into a thing. So I let it go. Ate the $100. Told myself it was probably an honest mistake. But it set a precedent. 2 months later came the engagement photos. Patricia had seen a friend's engagement photos and decided we needed professional ones. Every couple should have beautiful engagement photos, she said over dinner. Find a photographer you like. Someone good. We'll pay for it. Rachel and I looked at several photographers. Found one we both loved. Creative style, natural light, reasonable prices. Flau $100 for a 3-hour session and all digital files. That's perfect, Patricia said when I told her. Book it. You're sure about the price? Marcus, we told you we'd pay for it. Stop second-guessing everything. Just book it. The photographer required full payment up front. I paid $200. 2 weeks later, I mentioned the reimbursement to Rachel. Have your parents said anything about the engagement photos? Did you ask them? Not yet. I assumed they'd bring it up since they offered to pay. You need to ask. They're not mind readers. So I asked. Sent Patricia a polite email with the receipt attached. Thanks again for offering to cover the engagement photos. Receipt attached for the $200. Let me know if you need any other information. She replied 3 days later. Got it. We'll get that to you soon. Soon. 2 weeks passed. No payment. I followed up. Just checking in on the engagement photo reimbursement. No rush, just wanted to make sure the email didn't get lost. We're waiting on a CD to mature. Should have the funds available next week. A CD to mature. For $200. They drove a $70,000 BMW and belonged to a country club with $50,000 initiation fees, but they needed a CD to mature to pay me $200. But I waited. What else could I do? Next week came and went. No payment. I asked Rachel to follow up. She called them, came back looking uncomfortable. They said they'll have it to you by the end of the month. They're just waiting on some financial things to clear. End of the month arrived. No payment. I was getting frustrated now. It had been over 6 weeks. I'd fronted $200 on their explicit promise to pay, and now I was getting vague delays and excuses. I called Patricia directly. Hi, Patricia. Just following up on the engagement photo reimbursement. It's been about 6 weeks and I haven't received it yet. Oh, Marcus, I'm so sorry. Things have been busy. We'll get that to you this week for sure. This week specifically? Yes, Donald will write you a check this weekend. Weekend came. No check. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no check. Thursday, I texted Rachel. Did your parents send the check for the photos? I don't know. Let me ask. She asked. They said they'd mailed it. Should arrive any day. A week later, a check arrived. I opened it. $800. $800. Not $200. I called Rachel immediately. Your parents sent $800. The photos cost $200. What? Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I paid $200. They sent $800. Maybe that's what they thought we agreed on. We didn't agree on any amount. They said they'd pay for the photos. The photos cost $200. I showed them the receipt. Let me call them. She called. Came back confused. They said they thought we agreed they'd contribute to the photos, not pay for all of it. Contribute? Patricia specifically said, we'll pay for the engagement photos. Not, we'll contribute. Not, we'll help. Pay for. Well, Mom says she meant they'd help pay, and $800 is a generous contribution. It's not what was promised. Marcus, can we just let this go? $800 is a lot of money. Can't you just cover the other $400? So I covered the other $400, because what else could I do? Fight with my future in-laws over $400? Demand they pay the full amount and risk being labeled difficult and ungrateful? But the pattern was established. Promise full payment, deliver partial payment, act like the partial payment is generous, make me feel unreasonable for expecting what was promised. Third incident, the save the dates. We were addressing save the dates, 200 cards to mail out 6 months before the wedding. Rachel's parents offered to pay for the printing and postage. We'll take care of the save the dates, Donald announced at a family dinner. Just design them and let us know the cost. I designed the cards using an online service. Nice quality, clean design. Printing and postage came to $600 for 200 cards. Perfect, Patricia said when I told her. Order them and send us the bill. I ordered them, paid $600, sent Donald the receipt via email. Silence. 2 weeks later, I followed up. Just checking if you received the receipt for the save the dates? Got it, thanks. We'll get that to you. When? 3 weeks passed. No payment. I followed up again. Still waiting on the save the date reimbursement. Just want to make sure nothing got lost. Donald called me. He sounded irritated. Marcus, we said we'll pay you. You need to stop asking. It's insulting that you don't trust us to follow through on our commitments. Insulting. I was being insulting. For asking about money I'd fronted on their explicit promise to pay. For expecting them to follow through on commitments they'd made. I'm not trying to insult anyone, I said carefully. I'm just tracking expenses. Wedding costs add up and I'm trying to manage cash flow. We understand that, and we'll pay you. But you asking every week makes it seem like you think we're not good for the money. We're good for it. Just be patient. Patient. I was patient. For another 4 weeks. Then, 10 weeks after I'd paid for the save the dates, an envelope arrived. No note. No explanation. Just $300 in cash. I called Rachel. Your parents sent me $300 in cash. Okay? The save the dates cost $600. Silence. They only sent half? Yes. Did they say why? No note, just cash in an envelope. She called them. Came back looking defensive. They said $300 is their contribution to the save the dates. They didn't realize we'd spend $600 on cards. They thought it would be cheaper. We didn't spend $600. That's what it cost to print and mail 200 cards. It's a standard price. And they offered to pay for them before knowing the cost. Well, they're paying half. That's still generous. It's not what they promised. Marcus, please. This is my parents. Can you just let it go? So I let it go. Again. Absorbed another $300 on top of the $100 from the rehearsal dinner and the $400 from the engagement photos. $800 total that I'd fronted and never been reimbursed for, plus the time cost, The mental energy of tracking everything, following up repeatedly, being made to feel like I was being difficult for expecting what had been promised. That's when I started documenting everything. Screenshots of texts, saved emails, scanned receipts, because I had a feeling the pattern would continue. And I was right. Over the next 3 months, there were smaller incidents. Patricia offered to pay for the wedding invitations, then forgot, and I ended up covering the full cost. Donald said he'd handle the rehearsal dinner bar tab, then complained it was too high and paid 60% of it. Rachel's aunt volunteered to pay for the flower girl dress, then sent a check for half the amount 3 months later. Every time, the pattern was the same. 1. Generous offer to pay. 2. Let me front the money. 3. Delay reimbursement. 4. Pay less than promised. 5. Act offended if I followed up. 6. Make me feel ungrateful for expecting full payment. Rachel's response was always the same. They're being generous. You're being difficult. It's not worth fighting over. Family means giving people grace. But I'd given grace, repeatedly, and the grace was being interpreted as permission to continue the pattern. So when Rachel said, "Just book the hotel, my parents will pay you later," I saw it clearly. Another promise, another front, another eventual partial payment months later, with me being made to feel unreasonable for expecting what was agreed. But this time, the amount was different. Not $500 or $1,200 or $600, $7,560. Nearly $8,000. I couldn't afford to eat $800 on this one. Couldn't afford to wait months for reimbursement. Couldn't afford to get $5,000 back and be told, $5,000 is generous. Why are you being ungrateful? So I made a decision. I would comply. Exactly. I would book the hotel, and I would make absolutely certain the risk flowed the right direction. Not vindictively, not with malice, just with clarity. They wanted it done. I'd do it, but this time, later, would have teeth. I spend 2 hours researching hotels, not looking for the cheapest option or the fanciest, looking for exactly what was requested, a decent hotel near our venue with availability for our wedding weekend. I find the Morrison Grand Hotel. 4 stars, clean reviews, reasonable rates, 2 miles from our venue. They have availability for our weekend. They offer a group rate for blocks of 10 or more rooms. I read through their policies carefully, very carefully. Standard rooms, $189 per night. Group rate for 20 rooms, 2 nights, $7,560 total. Deposit required, full payment up front. Cancellation policy, non-refundable after booking. That last part is important. The rate is lower than the flexible rate, $189 versus $220 per night. But it's completely non-refundable. If we cancel, we lose everything. If guests don't show up, we still pay for the rooms. The website makes this very clear. Red text, bold. Non-refundable rate, no cancellations or modifications allowed. Full payment charged at time of booking. I screenshot the policy, save it. Then I select the non-refundable rate. 20 rooms, 2 nights. October 12th, 14. Total, $7,560. I enter my credit card information. The same credit card that's already carrying $3,000 of other wedding expenses that haven't been reimbursed yet. Before I click confirm, I text Rachel. About to book the hotel. Morrison Grand, 20 rooms, 2 nights. $7,560 total. Non-refundable rate, cheaper than flexible. Confirming this is what you want. She responds immediately. Yes, perfect. My parents will love that you found a good rate. Book it. I take a screenshot of that text too. Then I click confirm. The confirmation page loads. Booking number, dates, room count, total charged. Cancellation policy in red, non-refundable. I screenshot everything. The confirmation email arrives in my inbox 30 seconds later. I forward it to Rachel, CCing her parents. Hotel booked for wedding weekend. Morrison Grand Hotel, 20 rooms, October 12th, 14. Confirmation attached. Total, $7,560. Looking forward to celebrating with everyone. professional, friendly, informative. And now everyone has the booking details, including the non-refundable part, right there in the confirmation email in bold red text. I close my laptop and go make dinner. Rachel comes home an hour later, excited. My mom called. She's so happy you booked the hotel. She said the Morrison Grand is perfect, and the rate is amazing. Good. She said she'll write you a check this weekend. Okay. You don't sound excited. I'm excited, just tired from wedding planning. She hugs me. I know it's a lot, but we're getting through it, and my parents really appreciate everything you're doing. Sure. That night, I sleep well. For the first time in months of wedding planning, I sleep very well, because I've done exactly what was asked. Nothing more, nothing less. And now, we wait. The call comes 2 days later. I'm at work when my phone rings. Patricia, I let it go to voicemail. Checked the message during my lunch break. Marcus, hi, it's Patricia. I was looking at the hotel confirmation you sent. It says non-refundable? I'm sure that's a mistake. Can you call the hotel and get that changed to a refundable rate? We might need to adjust the number of rooms depending on final RSVPs. Call me back when you get this. Thanks, sweetie. Sweetie? She calls me sweetie when she wants something. I don't call back. Instead, I text Rachel. Your mom called about the hotel. She wants to change to a refundable rate. Rachel responds, Can you do that? Me. No, it's non-refundable. That's why it was cheaper. Rachel. Oh, can you at least call the hotel and ask? Me. The policy was clear when I booked it. Non-refundable means non-refundable. Rachel. Just call and ask. Maybe they'll make an exception. Me. They won't. That's what non-refundable means. She doesn't respond. 20 minutes later, Donald calls. I let it go to voicemail. Marcus, Donald here. Patricia mentioned there's an issue with the hotel booking. Something about it being non-refundable? That doesn't work for us. We need flexibility in case we have more or fewer guests. Can you call them and get it switched to a refundable rate? Shouldn't be a problem. Give me a call back. Thanks. Shouldn't be a problem. Except it is a problem. That's the entire point of non-refundable rates. I text Rachel again. Your dad called too. Same request. I'm not calling the hotel because they won't change it. The rate was clearly marked non-refundable when I booked. Rachel. Marcus, just try. For me. Me. There's nothing to try. The policy is clear. Rachel. You're being difficult. Me. I'm being accurate. She calls me. I'm back in a meeting, so I can't answer. She leaves a voicemail. Marcus, I don't know what's going on with you, but you're acting weird about this. My parents just want to make sure we have flexibility. That's reasonable. Just call the hotel and see what they can do. It's not a big deal. After work, I drive home. Rachel is already there, sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open and her phone in her hand. She looks annoyed. We need to talk about the hotel. I set down my bag. Okay. My parents are upset. They said you're refusing to call the hotel about changing the booking. I'm not refusing. I'm explaining that non-refundable means they won't change it. You haven't even tried. Because I read the policy before I booked. It's very clear. No refunds, no modifications, no exceptions. Every hotel says that, but they usually make exceptions if you ask. Not for bulk group bookings at discounted rates. Those policies are strict. How do you know if you haven't called? Because I read the terms and conditions. Because I understand what non-refundable means. Because this isn't my first time booking a hotel. She's getting frustrated now. Marcus, why are you being so stubborn about this? Just make one phone call. If they say no, fine. But at least try. Why did I book a non-refundable rate? What? Why did I choose the non-refundable rate instead of the flexible rate? Because it was cheaper. Right. It was cheaper because it comes with restrictions. The hotel takes on less risk, so they charge less. If we want flexibility, we need the flexible rate, which costs $40 more per room per night. So, So that would be an extra $1,600. Are your parents paying that? They're paying for the hotel. Are they paying for the upgrade to a flexible rate? Have they offered to cover the difference? She hesitates. I don't know. I haven't asked. Maybe you should ask before demanding I try to change something that can't be changed. I'm not demanding. I'm asking you to make a phone call. To accomplish what? The hotel won't change the rate, and even if they did, it would cost more money. Money that I've already fronted, money your parents haven't paid me back for yet, or for the rehearsal dinner deposit, or the full cost of the engagement photos, or the save the dates. Oh my God, are you seriously bringing up old stuff? It's not old stuff. I still haven't been fully reimbursed for any of it. My parents gave you money for all of that. Some money, not all of it, not what they promised, and always months late. So this is about you not trusting my parents? This is about me following the instructions I was given. You said book the hotel, your parents will pay me later. I booked the hotel, I got a good rate. Your parents will pay me later. That was the agreement. The agreement wasn't to book something non-refundable. The agreement was to book a hotel. I booked a hotel. I found a good rate. I followed instructions. You should have checked with us first. I texted you before I finalized it. You said, yes, perfect, book it. I have the text. She opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again. You knew it was non-refundable. You should have mentioned that specifically. It was in the confirmation email I sent to everyone, in red text, bold, impossible to miss. We don't read every detail of confirmation emails. Then that's not my problem. The words hang in the air, cold, final. Rachel stares at me. Wow. Okay. So you're just going to be an asshole about this? I'm going to be clear about this. I did what was asked. I found a good hotel at a good rate. I put it on my credit card like requested. Your parents will pay me later, like promised. The booking is done. What if we need to cancel? Then we lose the money. All of it? Yes. That's what non-refundable means. Marcus, that's $7,560. And yes, I'm aware, which is why I read the policy carefully before booking. And you booked it anyway? Your parents said they'd pay for it, so it's their $7,560, not mine. They can decide if they're comfortable with the risk. You can't put that kind of risk on my parents. I didn't. They put it on me when they said, just book it, we'll pay you later. I'm just making sure the risk flows the right direction now. She's angry now, really angry. This is insane. You're sabotaging our wedding planning. I'm not sabotaging anything. I'm following instructions. Book the hotel. I booked it. Your parents will pay me later. They will. When? Whenever later is. They'll let me know. You're being petty. I'm being precise. What does that even mean? It means I'm done fronting money for promises that get partially kept months later while I'm made to feel greedy for expecting what was agreed. Your parents wanted the hotel booked. It's booked. They said they'd pay me later, so they'll pay me later. When later comes, I'll get paid. Until then, the booking stands. You need to cancel it. I can't cancel it. It's non-refundable. Marcus? What? You want me to eat $7,500 after eating parts of every other expense, after being told I'm being ungrateful when I ask about reimbursement? No. This time the money is locked in. Your parents promised to pay. Now they'll pay. They haven't given you the money yet. Exactly. Which is why the booking is non-refundable. When they pay me, they'll have skin in the game. They'll care about the booking because their money is in it. Until then, it stays as is. Rachel stands up, grabs her phone. I'm calling my parents. This is ridiculous. Go ahead. She goes upstairs. I hear her voice, loud and upset, talking to her parents on the phone. I sit at the kitchen table and open my laptop. Pull up the folder where I've been documenting everything. The text from Rachel saying to book it. The confirmation email sent to everyone. Screenshots of the policy. Because I know where this is going, and I'm ready. The next day, Patricia calls me directly. I'm in a meeting, so I let it go to voicemail. Check it during my afternoon break. Marcus, this is Patricia. We need to resolve this hotel situation immediately. Donald and I are not comfortable with a non-refundable booking. We need you to call the hotel, explain there was a misunderstanding, and get it changed to a refundable rate. If there's an upcharge, we'll discuss it. But this non-refundable situation is unacceptable. Call me back today. The tone is different. Not friendly, not sweetie, authoritative, commanding. I don't call back. Instead, I text Rachel. Your mom called. She wants me to change the booking. I'm not doing that. Rachel. Marcus, you're making this into a huge thing. Just call the hotel. Me. I've explained multiple times why that won't work. The answer hasn't changed. Rachel. My parents are threatening to not pay for the hotel if you don't fix this. Me. Fix what? The booking is done. The hotel is reserved. Everything is confirmed. Rachel. They want the flexibility to change it. Me. Then they should have specified that before asking me to book it. Rachel. That's implied. Me. No, it's not. They said book a hotel. They didn't say book a flexible rate. They didn't say make it refundable. They said book it, we'll pay later. Rachel. You're being ridiculous. Me. I'm being literal. Rachel. Same thing. Me. Not even close. She doesn't respond. That evening, Donald calls. I let it go to voicemail. Marcus, this has gone far enough. Patricia and I are not paying for a non-refundable hotel booking. That was not what we agreed to. You need to cancel this booking and rebook with a flexible rate. Do it today. If you don't, we won't be responsible for the cost. That means you'll be out $7,500. Your choice. Call me back. Ah, there it is. The threat. We won't pay. You'll be out the money. Your choice. Except it's not my choice. It was their choice when they said, book it, we'll pay later, without any discussion of terms or conditions or flexibility requirements. I text Rachel. Your dad called. He's threatening not to pay for the hotel. Rachel calls me immediately. I answer. Marcus, what the hell is going on? Your dad just said they won't pay for the hotel if I don't cancel and rebook. So cancel and rebook. I can't cancel, it's non-refundable, we'd lose all the money. Then call the hotel and ask for an exception. They won't make an exception. You don't know that. Yes, I do. I've read their policy. I've dealt with hotel bookings before. Group blocks at non-refundable rates don't get changed. Marcus, my parents are serious. They won't pay for this. Then they're breaking their promise. They said they'd pay for the hotel. Hotel is booked. They owe $7,560. They don't owe anything if you booked the wrong type of rate. I booked exactly what was requested. A hotel. For our wedding weekend. At a good price. Nothing in the instructions specified refundable. It's common sense. Common sense is reading the booking terms before confirming. Common sense is understanding that cheaper rates come with restrictions. Common sense is communicating your requirements before asking someone to make a $7,500 purchase. Oh my God, you're actually going to let them not pay for this? I'm going to hold them to their word. They said they'd pay. If they don't pay, that tells me everything I need to know. About them? Or about you? About the pattern, about the promises, about the expectation that I'll just cover things when later never comes. This is about the other stuff? The rehearsal dinner and the photos and all that? This is about being told I'm ungrateful for expecting promises to be kept, about being made to feel pushy for asking about reimbursement, about being treated like an ATM that should just trust that later will come. My parents have been generous. Your parents have been partial. They promised full payment and delivered partial payment late while acting offended that I noticed. So this is revenge? You're trapping them with a non-refundable booking as payback? I'm not trapping anyone. I'm following instructions. They wanted a hotel booked. I booked it. They said they'd pay, now they'll pay. What if they don't? Then I'll take them to small claims court for breach of oral contract. I have documentation, texts, emails, witnesses. They'll lose. Silence on her end. You'd sue my parents? I'd sue anyone who promised to pay for something and then refused, family or not. Marcus, what? You think I should just eat $7,500 on top of everything else? Because family means I'm supposed to be a doormat? Family means you give people grace. I've given grace for 6 months, multiple times. This time, the grace period ended before the booking was made. They wanted it done. It's done. Now they pay. You're destroying my relationship with my parents. No, they're destroying their own credibility. All they have to do is pay what they promised to pay. That's it. That's the whole thing. They won't pay for something non-refundable. Then they lied when they said they'd pay for the hotel. Because the hotel is booked, non-refundable, and they said they'd pay for it. She's crying now. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe they're breaking their promise. If this deal falls through, we might not have hotel rooms for our guests. We have hotel rooms, 20 of them, confirmed, paid for, unless your parents want to walk away from $7,500 out of spite. This is insane. This is consequences. They made a promise. I acted on that promise. Now the promise needs to be kept. She hangs up. I sit in my car in my work parking lot and feel nothing but clarity. Because I'm done being the person who absorbs the cost of other people's casual promises. Done being told I'm difficult for expecting what was agreed. Done being the wallet that's expected to stay open while later never arrives. The booking stands. The promise stands. And now we see if they stand by their word. 2 days pass. Radio silence from Rachel's parents. Tension with Rachel that could be cut with a knife. Then, on Saturday morning, my phone rings. Patricia. I answer this time. Marcus. Patricia. We need to talk about the hotel situation. Okay. Donald and I have discussed it extensively. We're willing to pay for the hotel, but we need assurances that you'll handle any issues that come up. What kind of issues? If we need to reduce the number of rooms, if guests cancel, if there are any problems with the booking, you'll need to work with the hotel to resolve them. That's not possible. The booking is non-refundable. No changes allowed. Every hotel makes exceptions for special circumstances. Not for discounted group rates? You need to at least try. I've explained why that won't work. Marcus, we're being reasonable here. We're agreeing to pay despite your poor judgment in booking a non-refundable rate. The least you can do is agree to handle any problems that arise. My poor judgment? Yes. You should have consulted us before booking something so restrictive. You told Rachel to tell me to book it. I texted Rachel before confirming. She said yes. I sent you the confirmation immediately. Everyone had the information. We don't scrutinize every detail of confirmation emails. Then that's your responsibility, not mine. The terms were clear. This is ridiculous. We're trying to resolve this and you're being obstinate. I'm being consistent. You asked me to book a hotel. I booked it. You said you'd pay. Now pay. We will pay, but no buts. You'll pay $7,560. That's the full cost of the booking. When you pay, I'll confirm receipt. That's the transaction. What if we need to cancel? You can't. It's non-refundable. But what if an emergency happens? Then you lose $7,560. That's the risk of a non-refundable rate. That's an enormous risk. Yes, which is why I selected it carefully after reading the terms, and which is why you should have read the terms before I booked if you had concerns. This is outrageous. This is accurate. Donald and I are not comfortable with this arrangement. The arrangement is simple. You pay for what you asked me to book. That's it. We asked you to book a hotel, not trap us in an expensive non-refundable contract. You asked me to book a hotel. I found a good rate. The good rate came with terms. Those are the terms. If you wanted different terms, You should have specified that before I made a $7,500 purchase on your behalf. On our behalf? You booked it. On your promise to pay. That's the entire basis of the transaction. I wouldn't have booked anything if you hadn't promised to pay for it. Silence. Long silence. Then, fine, we'll pay. But Marcus, this doesn't sit well with us. At all. What doesn't sit well? Keeping your promise? Your attitude, your lack of respect, your refusal to work with us. I'm working exactly as we agreed. You wanted a hotel booked. It's booked. You said you'd pay later. Later is now. We haven't received a bill. You received a confirmation with the total, $7,160. You can send a check or wire transfer. I'll send you my account information. We'll send a check. When? When we're ready. That's not an answer. The booking was made on your promise to pay. When will you pay? Within 30 days. My credit card statement is due in 3 weeks. Then you'll have your money before the due date. In writing? Excuse me? Can you confirm in writing that you'll pay $7,560 within 30 days? Marcus, we're family. Our word should be enough. Your word was enough for me to book a $7,500 hotel block. Now I need your word in writing with a specific date. This is insulting. This is business. You asked me to make a substantial purchase on your promise to pay. I'm confirming the terms of that promise. Another long silence. Fine, I'll email you a confirmation. Thank you. But Marcus? This changes things, between us. How so? Trust, respect, the way family treats each other. I agree. Trust and respect are important, which is why keeping promises matters. She hangs up. I sit back and wait for the email. It arrives an hour later, short, terse. Marcus, Donald and I confirm we will reimburse you $7,560 for the hotel booking for Rachel and Marcus's wedding weekend. Payment will be made within 30 days of this email. Patricia. Not warm, not friendly, but clear. Dated. In writing. I forward it to Rachel with one line. Your parents confirmed payment within 30 days. She responds, I can't believe you made them do that. Me. I made them confirm what they already promised. Rachel. You humiliated them. Me. I protected myself. Rachel. From my parents? Me. From broken promises. She doesn't respond. 3 weeks later, a check arrives in the mail. $7,160, memo line, hotel reimbursement. I hold it for a moment, looking at it. The full amount. On time. Exactly as promised in writing. I deposit it immediately. Send a confirmation email to Patricia and Donald with Rachel CC'd. Check received and deposited for $7,560. Hotel booking confirmed for October 12th, 14. Thank you. Professional, clean, final. No response from Patricia or Donald. Rachel texts me an hour later. My mom is really upset. She said your email was cold. Me. It was factual. I confirmed receipt of payment and the booking. Rachel. You could have been warmer. Me. I was professional. Rachel. With my parents? Me. With people who paid me for a service rendered. That's the relationship they chose. She doesn't respond. The next Sunday, there's a family dinner at Donald and Patricia's house. Rachel insists we go, even though I'd rather not. We have to maintain some relationship with them, she says. They're going to be your in-laws in 2 months. You can't just treat them like strangers. I'm treating them like people I have a business relationship with. They're family. Family who taught me that promises are negotiable and payment is optional. I'm just responding to the lesson. She sighs. Please, just come to dinner. Be civil. Don't make this worse. I go to dinner. Donald and Patricia are polite but distant. No warmth, no jokes, no, how's the wedding planning going? Just necessary pleasantries. Rachel's sister Emma is there with her husband and kids. The contrast is stark. Patricia is warm with Emma, laughing, engaged. With me, she's cordial at best. During dinner, Emma mentions they're renovating their kitchen. That's wonderful, Patricia says. What's the budget? Around 30,000, Emma says. It's more than we planned, but we found a great contractor. We'd love to help, Donald offers immediately. What do you need? Oh, we couldn't ask. Nonsense. Your family. What's money between family? Let us contribute to the countertops or something. Whatever helps. Emma tears up. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. I catch Rachel watching me. She knows what I'm thinking. Her parents can offer $30,000 for Emma's kitchen immediately, unconditionally, warmly. But getting $7,560 for our wedding hotel required written confirmation and treating me like I was being unreasonable. After dinner, while Rachel is helping with dishes, Donald pulls me aside to the study. We need to talk. Okay? He closes the door, sits behind his desk. The power position. Patricia and I are very disappointed in how you handled the hotel situation. How so? You were disrespectful, demanding. You treated us like we were untrustworthy when we've been nothing but generous with you and Rachel. You promised to pay for the hotel, I booked it, you paid. That's not disrespectful, that's transactional. Exactly. Transactional. That's the problem. We're family. Family doesn't treat each other transactionally. Family also keeps promises, pays what they say they'll pay, doesn't make the other person chase them for months for partial reimbursements. His face reddens. Are you referring to previous wedding expenses? Yes. The rehearsal dinner deposit where you paid $400 of the $500, the engagement photos where you paid $800 of the $200, the save the dates where you paid $300 of the $600. Should I continue? Those were all misunderstandings. They were all promises you made and partially kept, and every time I asked about it, I was made to feel ungrateful or pushy or difficult. Because you were being those things. We were being generous and you were nickeling and dimming us. I was expecting what you promised. That's not nickeling and dimming. That's basic accountability. You're marrying into this family. You need to understand how we operate. We help each other. We're generous, but we also expect trust and respect, not written confirmations and threatening emails about lawsuits. I didn't threaten a lawsuit. I mentioned small claims court as a last resort if payment wasn't made. And I asked for written confirmation of a $7,500 transaction because your track record of keeping financial promises was poor. You're calling us liars? I'm calling the pattern inconsistent. You promise X, deliver 60% of X months later, and act offended when it's noticed. That's not fair. It's accurate, and I wasn't willing to eat $7,500 the way I ate $800 on previous promises. He stands up, angry now. You put us in an impossible position. Non-refundable booking? We couldn't adjust if we needed to. Couldn't change if circumstances changed. You trapped us. I booked exactly what was requested, a hotel. At a good rate. The terms were clear before I clicked confirm. If you wanted different terms, you should have specified that before asking me to make a $7,500 purchase. You should have known we'd want flexibility. Should I have? Based on what? You didn't specify flexibility. You said book a hotel. I booked a hotel. You said you'd pay later. You paid later. Those were the instructions. I followed them. You followed them maliciously. I followed them precisely. There's a difference. He points at me. I'm going to tell you something, and you need to hear it. Patricia and I don't like you very much right now. We were excited about you joining our family. We thought you were a good match for Rachel. But this hotel situation has shown us who you really are. Someone who doesn't respect family. Someone who treats everything like a business transaction. Someone who's more concerned about money than relationships. I stay calm. I respect family that respects me. I treat promises like they matter because they do. And I'm concerned about money when I'm expected to front thousands of dollars on vague assurances of later. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're so rigid, so unforgiving, so mercenary. I'm clear. I expect people to keep their word. If that makes me mercenary, so be it. You're going to have a very lonely life if this is how you treat people. Maybe. Or maybe I'll have a life where people don't make promises they don't intend to keep, where "I'll pay you later" actually means payment happens as promised, where family doesn't mean doormat. Get out of my study. Gladly. I open the door and walk out. Rachel is in the hallway, clearly having heard at least some of the conversation. "Marcus, we're leaving. We can't just leave. We haven't had dessert. I'm leaving. You can stay if you want." I get my coat, walk to the car, sit in the driver's seat. Rachel comes out 5 minutes later, gets in the passenger seat. We drive home in silence. At home, she finally speaks. "My dad is really hurt. Your dad is mad that I didn't let him treat me the way he's treated me for months. That's not hurt. That's frustrated entitlement. He said you're mercenary. I'm clear. If that looks like being mercenary, it's because clarity is rare. He said you don't respect family. I respect family that respects me. Your parents respect me when I'm useful and compliant. When I expect accountability, suddenly I don't respect family. That's not fair. It's accurate." She starts crying. I feel like I'm caught in the middle of this, between you and my parents, and I don't know what to do. "You're not in the middle. You're on a side. You've been on your parents' side this whole time. Every time they've broken a promise, you've defended them. Every time I've expected what was promised, you've told me to let it go. Because they're my parents, because family means giving people grace. Grace is fine. Being a doormat isn't. I've given grace for months. This time, grace came with boundaries. Is this how our marriage is going to be? You keeping score, demanding everything be transactional and documented? This is how our marriage is going to be if your family keeps treating me like an ATM with optional repayment terms. If they want a relationship based on trust and respect, they can start by keeping promises fully and on time. If they want a transactional relationship where I protect myself with documentation, that's what they'll get. You're putting this all on them. Because it is on them. They set the pattern. I responded. If they don't like my response, they should examine their pattern. What if they never change? Then our relationship with them stays transactional. They're not my creditors anymore. They want something. They pay up front. They make a promise. I get it in writing. They treat me like I'm untrustworthy. I treat them accordingly. And what about me? Where do I fit in this? That's up to you. You can keep defending broken promises and calling me difficult, or you can acknowledge the pattern and expect better from your parents. Your choice. She doesn't respond. Goes upstairs. I hear the bedroom door close. I sit in the living room thinking about the conversation with Donald, about being called mercenary and rigid and unforgiving. Maybe I am those things now. Maybe boundaries look like rigidity when you're used to people bending. But I'm done bending. The hotel booking proved it works. Clear terms, written confirmation, payment on time and in full. That's the template going forward. The wedding happens on October 12th. Beautiful day. Ceremony goes perfectly. Reception is warm and fun. The hotel rooms get used without any issues. All 20 of them, exactly as booked. Patricia and Donald are there, playing their roles as parents of the bride. Cordial in public, distant when we're alone. They smile for photos. They give a nice toast at the rehearsal dinner. They hug Rachel and congratulate us, but there's no warmth toward me, no jokes, no welcome to the family, just performative civility. I'm fine with it. After the honeymoon, life settles into a new normal. We buy a house. Rachel keeps working at the hospital. I keep working at my firm. We see her parents occasionally. Holidays, birthdays, obligatory family events. The relationship stays cordial but cold. Donald and Patricia never offer to help with anything again. Never volunteer to pay for anything. Never say, "We've got this," or "Let us contribute." 3 months after the wedding, Rachel's sister Emma announces she's pregnant with her third child. At the family dinner celebrating the news, Patricia immediately offers to pay for the nursery furniture. Whatever you need, she says. Crib, changing table, rocker, our gift to you and the baby. Emma tears up. Mom, that's so generous. Thank you. I watch this from across the table. The immediate, unconditional offer of help, the warmth, the genuine generosity. The contrast is stark. After dinner, in the car, Rachel brings it up. Did you see how my mom offered to pay for Emma's nursery? I did. She never offered us anything like that. I know. Doesn't that bother you? No. Really? You're fine with them being generous to my sister but not to us? They're allowed to be generous to whoever they want, with their own money immediately offered without conditions. That's fine. But they could help us, too, with house stuff, with future kids. They could, they won't, because they know I'd expect them to follow through on promises. It's easier to be generous with Emma because Emma doesn't hold them accountable. That sounds bitter. It's not bitter. It's clear. They prefer relationships where their promises are taken on faith rather than documented, where partial payment is celebrated as generous rather than questioned as incomplete. Emma provides that relationship. I don't. So they're generous with her, not with me. That's their choice. You're saying this is your fault? I'm saying this is a consequence of boundaries. They don't help because help from them comes with strings, undefined terms, delayed payment, partial follow-through, and me being made to feel difficult for noticing. I don't want help like that. So I don't get help. That's fine. But we could use help. This house is expensive. If we have kids, childcare is expensive. Having their support would make things easier. Support that requires me to be a doormat isn't support. It's leverage. I don't want leverage disguised as generosity. She goes quiet. A year after the wedding, we do have our first child. A daughter, Sophie. Beautiful, healthy, perfect. Patricia and Donald visit in the hospital. They bring flowers and a card. They hold Sophie. They take photos. They're grandparents. But they don't offer to help with anything concrete. No nursery furniture. No contribution to childcare. No, let us pay for the first year of diapers or anything else. Emma's third child is born 2 months later. Patricia and Donald buy them a top-of-the-line stroller, a full nursery set, and set up a college fund. Rachel cries when she sees the photos on Facebook. They did all that for Emma. For us, they brought flowers. They brought flowers because that's all they're comfortable giving someone who expects them to keep promises. Don't you care? Don't you want your daughter to have grandparents who are involved? Who help? I want my daughter to have grandparents who keep their word. If they can't do that, I'd rather have distant grandparents than lying ones. They're not lying. They make promises they don't keep. Fully. On time. That's lying with extra steps. So, we just accept that they'll never be close to us? To Sophie? We accept that they've made their choice. They can be close to us if they're willing to keep promises and treat us with the same respect they give Emma. If they're not willing, distance is fine. This is because of the hotel, isn't it? Because of one booking gone wrong? The hotel didn't go wrong. The hotel went exactly right. For the first time, they kept a promise fully and on time. But it required me to protect myself with a non-refundable rate and written confirmation. They resented that. So now we have distance instead of intimacy. That's their choice based on their resentment. Or your choice based on your rigidity. Maybe. But I sleep well at night knowing no one owes me money on vague promises. That's worth the distance. She doesn't agree. Still doesn't fully understand why I did what I did. But 5 years later, when Donald passes away suddenly, something interesting happens. Patricia calls Rachel crying. We need to talk about your father's estate. There are some complications. Turns out Donald had been making promises he couldn't keep for years, to multiple people, business partners, friends, family members, promises to invest in ventures, promises to pay for things, promises that were made verbally without documentation. People are coming forward claiming Donald owed them money. Some claims are legitimate, some aren't. Without documentation, it's impossible to tell. Patricia is overwhelmed, angry, confused. Why did he keep doing this? She asks Rachel. Why did he promise things without thinking about whether he could follow through? Rachel tells me about the conversation that night. I don't say, "I told you so." Don't need to. The pattern speaks for itself. But I do say, "The hotel booking probably looks different to your mom now." Rachel nods. She actually mentioned it. Said she understood better why you insisted on written confirmation. Does she? She said she wishes everyone had insisted on documentation like you did. That it would have saved a lot of confusion now. It would have. She asked if you'd be willing to help sort through the claims, to figure out what's real and what's not. Said you're good with details and documentation. What did you say? That I'd ask you. I think about it. About Donald calling me mercenary. About Patricia resenting the written confirmation. About years of distance and coldness. I'll help, I say. Not for them. For you. Because you're caught in the mess their pattern created. Rachel hugs me. Thank you. I spend 3 weeks helping Patricia sort through Donald's promises. We create spreadsheets. We request documentation from claimants. We verify what can be verified. Most claims have no documentation, just verbal promises. Donald said he'd invest. Donald said he'd pay for this. No proof, no confirmation, just memories of promises. I advise Patricia to pay only the documented claims, the ones with emails, contracts, receipts, the ones that can be proven. It's less than half of what's being claimed. What about the others? Patricia asks. The verbal promises? Without documentation, you have no way to verify them. People could be lying, or misremembering, or exaggerating what was promised. You can't pay based on unprovable claims. But some of them might be real. Maybe. But you can't know which ones. So you pay what you can prove. That's fair to Donald's actual creditors and protects his estate from fraudulent claims. She nods slowly. You were right about documentation. I was protecting myself. I know. I resented you for it. Thought you were being difficult and distrustful. But you weren't. You were being smart. Donald should have been more like you. It's the closest to an apology I'll ever get. The end. 10 years after the hotel booking, Rachel and I are still married. Sophie is 9. We have a second daughter, Lily, age 6. Patricia is in our lives more now, warmer, more careful with promises. When she offers to help, she follows through. When she says, "I'll pay for that," she pays for all of it, on time, without me having to ask. The hotel booking changed things. Not immediately, not obviously, but permanently. She learned that I'm serious about boundaries, that promises matter, that later needs a date. And I learned that holding people accountable doesn't make you mercenary. It makes you clear. Clear about what you expect. Clear about what you'll accept. Clear about what happens when promises aren't kept. Sophie asked me once when she was 7, "Why don't Grandma and Grandpa visit as much as Mommy's aunt and uncle? Because sometimes people need space to figure out how to treat each other right." Did Grandma and Grandpa treat you wrong? They made promises they didn't keep. I didn't like that. So we took some space while they learned to keep promises. Do they keep promises now? They do. Most of the time. So we have less space now. That's good. It is. Rachel heard that conversation, said to me later, "You explained that really well. It's the truth. I know. I'm sorry I didn't see it before. The pattern, what they were doing, what it cost you. You see it now. That's what matters. Do you forgive them? I don't need to forgive them. I need them to keep their promises. They're doing that now. That's enough. Do you forgive me for not believing you, for defending them? You were caught in the middle. You did what you thought was right. I understand that. But do you forgive me? I think about it. About the months of defending broken promises. About being called difficult and rigid and mercenary. About being told to let it go, be gracious, don't make things awkward. I forgive you, I say. But I also learned I need to trust my own judgment, even when everyone else says I'm wrong, even when it's lonely, because the hotel booking proved I was right, and if I'd listened to everyone else, I'd be out $7,500 and still trying to get later to arrive. She nods. You were right. About all of it. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. You see it now. And she does. When her sister calls asking if we can front money for something their parents promised to pay for, Rachel says no. When Patricia offers to pay for Sophie's dance classes sometime, Rachel says, when specifically? When Donald's brother asks if we can cover a family vacation and he'll pay us back later, Rachel says, pay up front or we're not going. She learned the lesson too. Just took her longer than me. The hotel booking, that non-refundable, uncomfortable, boundary-setting booking, was the best thing I ever did for our marriage. Not because it punished anyone, but because it forced clarity. They said they'd pay me later. They just didn't like when later became real, when later came with terms, when later meant accountability. But that's what later should always mean. A real date, a real commitment, real consequences if it doesn't happen. I don't regret a single thing. Not the non-refundable rate, not the written confirmation, not the boundaries, not the clarity. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to be used and teach people that promises matter, even, especially, from family. One evening, about a week after the check clears, she brings it up. My parents are really hurt. I look up from my laptop. About what? About how you treated them. With the hotel thing. I treated them fairly. They promised to pay. They paid. You treated them like they were criminals, making them sign something, threatening to sue them. I didn't make them sign anything. I asked for written confirmation of what they'd already promised verbally, and I mentioned small claims court as a last resort if they refused to pay. Those are reasonable protections for a $7,500 transaction. They're not strangers. They're family. Family who have a pattern of promising full payment and delivering partial payment months late. They always pay eventually. Eventually isn't the same as what was promised, and partial isn't the same as full. So you don't trust them? I trust them to do exactly what they've done before. Promise fully, deliver partially, delay indefinitely, and act offended when asked about it. That's a horrible way to view my parents. It's an accurate way, based on months of evidence. They think you're vindictive. Because I held them to their word? Because you trapped them with a non-refundable booking. I didn't trap anyone. I made a booking based on their promise to pay. If they didn't want non-refundable terms, they should have specified that. They didn't, so I chose the best rate available. You knew it would cause problems. I knew it would force accountability. There's a difference. What's the difference? Problems are bad faith. Accountability is good faith. I acted in good faith. They promised to pay. I made the booking. They paid. That's how it should work. But now they're upset. They're upset because they're not used to being held accountable. They're used to making promises, partially keeping them, and having everyone accept it because family. I'm not accepting that anymore. So you're going to have a bad relationship with my parents for the rest of our marriage? That depends on them. If they start keeping promises fully and on time, we'll have a great relationship. If they keep doing what they've been doing, we'll have a transactional relationship. They choose. That's so cold. That's so clear. I'm not going to pretend promises don't matter. I'm not going to absorb the cost of other people's casual commitments. I'm not going to be the wallet that's expected to stay open while later never comes. You sound like you hate them. I don't hate them. I just don't trust them with money. Or promises. or arrangements that require accountability. They're going to be my parents for the rest of my life, our children's grandparents. I know, and they can be wonderful grandparents. They just won't be my creditors anymore. Your creditors? Anyone I lend money to or front money for, that's done. Going forward, if they want something, they pay up front or it doesn't happen. No more pay you later. You can't do that with family. I can. I just did. And it worked. She looks at me like she's seeing a stranger. I don't know if I like this version of you. This version of me has boundaries. This version of me doesn't absorb other people's financial promises. This version of me expects people to keep their word. The old version of you was more flexible. The old version of me was a doormat. This version is not. She goes quiet. We finish dinner in silence. Later that night, she says, "My mom asked if you're going to be like this forever." Like what? Difficult, unforgiving, rigid. Tell your mom I'll be exactly as rigid as I need to be to protect myself from broken promises. That's not an answer. It's the only answer. They set the pattern. I responded to it. If they want a different response, they need a different pattern, which is, keep promises, pay fully, pay on time, don't use family as leverage to avoid accountability. They do keep promises. Partially, eventually, grudgingly. That's not fair. It's accurate. She doesn't bring it up again. Oh, the end. The wedding happened. Beautiful ceremony, great reception. Hotel rooms were used without issues. Patricia and Donald were cordial but distant. No warmth, no jokes, just polite civility. After the wedding, the pattern ended. They never offered to pay for anything again. Never volunteered to help with costs. Never said we'll pay you later. Which was exactly what I wanted. We paid for our own things, made our own decisions, didn't owe anyone anything. When we bought a house, they didn't offer to help with the down payment like Rachel had expected. When we had our first child, they didn't offer to contribute to nursery costs. Rachel was hurt. They helped my sister with all of that. Your sister probably still accepts "we'll pay you later" as a binding agreement. You're saying this is my fault for marrying you? I'm saying this is the consequence of boundaries. They don't help because they can't use help as leverage anymore. And that's fine. We don't need help that comes with strings. She didn't agree. Still doesn't fully understand why I did what I did. But the hotel booking, that non-refundable, uncomfortable, clear boundaries booking, set the tone for everything that followed. No more broken promises. No more pay you later. No more being the wallet that's expected to stay open indefinitely. They said they'd pay me later. They just didn't like when later became real, when later came with terms, when later meant accountability. But that's the thing about boundaries. They're only uncomfortable for people who don't want to be held accountable. I booked non-refundable, not to trap them, but to protect me. And when they paid, on time, in full, in writing, the lesson was complete. Promises matter. Later has a date. And family doesn't mean doormat. I don't regret a single thing.